Hello there. In this video I'm going to show you how you can make this charm here on the right. It's a hexagonal open cage charm with 4 hearts around the outside. It is possible with Fluid Designer for 3D printing to make this kind of style here, which is a slightly more solid charm, but in this instance with some holes in it. And if I just open this up, it's not a very good screenshot this. This is another example of the charms that you could actually make. Here it's totally solid. Now the rendering's not very good in that image. So how are we going to go about creating this 4 heart charm here? Well, first of all I just need to close that lot down. So I just go to new. So this is the sort of solid charm with some holes in it. This is the totally solid charm. And this is the object that we're going to use in this particular lesson today. So if I just drag and drop that onto the workspace, and I'll just switch on screencast key, so any key presses I make should be displayed down here. Now these curves that are placed around the outside can be dragged into the center here to complete the cage. Now I'm going to use these objects over on the right. So if I just go to view and top, and if I just say B for borders select and X to delete that lot, and B for borders select and X to delete that lot, I could have used those, wrap them around here, but I'm going to stick to hexagonal ones because this has actually got 6 arms here. So if I just go view and top again and just do borders select, and I'm just going to move those all across and just place them next to my charm now. So what are we going to do? Well, what I need to do is to put these objects and wrap them around the charm to create a solid object. So if I just highlight that one there, and if I just do cursor and snap selection to cursor and then just pull it up. Now I've actually chosen one that's a little bit too small there, so I'm just going to delete that. It's the next size that I want. So snap the selection to the cursor and I just move it up and I just position it at the top there. Now I want the same size at the bottom, so if I just go to Tools, Object, Tools, Duplicate and press the Enter key and then just move the duplicate down to the bottom. And I want to put a few more on here, so I'm going to select this one now and snap the selection to the cursor and just pull it up. Yeah, it's in the middle there, and I want to make a duplicate of that. So Tools, Object, Tools, Duplicate, press the Enter key and then just move it down so it's an equal distance down at the bottom. And then we select one more. I'm not sure whether it's that one or that one I need. I'll try this one. Snap selection to cursor. Yeah, that's going through the center. Now, you know, you've got to play around with those to see which fit. But you can, you know, change these. You can have the round ones. And you can change the curvature of this as well. Alright, so what I'm going to do, I've got all the ones that I want to use there now. So I'm just going to do border select and I'm just going to get rid of these out here. So X on the keyboard to delete. And the ones that I've added to the center here, I'm going to hold down the Shift key and highlight all of them and then go to Tools, Object, Tools and join them into one object. So we've just got this object here. This is the original charm object and this is the hexagonal. Now it's not appropriate with this object, and it tells you down here in the help panel, it's not appropriate to join these curves, these yellow lines, with this outline object. The charm itself is actually created using an array here, so there are 6 objects there in an array, and if you join these other curves to this array, you will also array all of these curves going around. In other words, they'll sit on top of each other. When you go to NetFab, you'll have real problems. So do not join these to these at the moment. Wait until we change them to meshes. It's a slightly unusual way of working, but that's what we need to do because the array has been used here. So if I look at this object, these curves here, they're one by one. So if I select my curves in the middle there, I can apply a 1 by 1 bevel object there and that more or less completes my outline of my object. Now if we just zoom in, we can edit this slightly. We can reposition it. So if I select the outline here, and if I press the tab key on the keyboard, notice there's only one set of control points to move here. So if I select that control point at the top, excuse me, I could reposition it. Now the snap is on at the moment, so if I just switch off the snap, I'll have better control. And I want to zoom in here and just watch what's happening. I don't want it sticking out of the top, and I don't want it sticking out of the back. So yeah, I'm going to leave it like that. Now there's quite a bit of an overlap there. One way to change that, if you're not happy about the appearance there, whoops, just not happy about the appearance there, you could change this to, I think it's 1.5 by 1, and you can see you get a better thickness there. So if you want to change that, you can do, but do take into account it will change this internal diameter. I'm going to stick to leaving it at 1 by 1 and allow for that overlap on the inside there. Now it's a good idea to just check down at the bottom and do the same thing at the bottom. So tab key on the keyboard, highlight that control point there. Try pulling it down. You don't want to come out of the bottom. Try pulling it across. I have been able to pull that somewhere across. So I've just repositioned that at the bottom there now. And that will all depend on how many rows you put round here, and whether you use circles or other shapes to do that. But that's essentially my cage now. Now what I'm going to do is, in the patterns, I've got some heart patterns, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the first 4 of these heart patterns and place them around this cage, and I do that by using append. So let me see, if I go to view and front view there, and go to file and append, go up through the menu system and always until you get to the groups folder, then look for the hearts patterns, and I'm going to use the first heart, and I just go to object, and it's always the heart. It's the heart object. In this case, I want to append from the library. Now you can see I'm going to have to rotate this about the x-axis here. That's the red arrow. So if I do R on the keyboard, X and 90, it will reorientate that. And if I just go to the front view now, and with the heart highlighted, if I press S on the keyboard and scale it, I can scale it down to size to fit onto my charm. Now whenever you're scaling Fluid Designer for 3D printing, you must always do Control A and apply the scale, and notice the thickness will change again. And that thickness is this value here. It's 1 by 2 millimeters, and I'm going to leave it at that. So if I just go to view and top view now, and if I just drag this out, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do it so that this edge just juts out at the front. So there it meets the end of the charm, and I'm just going to go out a little bit. In fact, I'll do it to the end of that point there. Now you could move this up if you want to reposition it. But that's it. That's all I'm going to do with that heart. So I'm then going to do the next one, and it's basically the same thing, just repeating itself now. So I just go to File and Append, go up through the menu system. I'm in Hearts, Patterns Hearts. So I want heart number 2, Object. Just append that from the library, and I've just got to do the same thing to this. R, X and 90 to orientate it. View from the front. S on the keyboard to scale it down to size, and try and scale it so it's more or less the same as the other one. Remember to do Control A and apply the scale. Now I could, if I go to view top, I could just move this up here and position it about there, so it's on the back edge of the charm now. Now if you're not happy about this sticking out here, you could scale it down even further, or you could even just go press the tab key, and if I just highlight a few control points there, I could actually just reduce the size of that. It's fully editable because these are parametric smart objects. What you do need is overlap because remember, when you 3D print this, you've got to have a solid object. So we'll now append the third and the fourth one. So File and Append. Go up through the menu system. I'm in Patterns Heart, so I'm going to choose Heart 3. Now I'm sticking to heart objects here, but I could append anything that I want, any pattern that's on your system. So rotate X 90, view it from the front again, whoops, view it from the front, and scale it down so that it's roughly the same size as the other ones. Always remember to do Control A and apply the scale. Now I'm going to have to put it on one of the sides here, so I do need to rotate it about the Z-axis 90 degrees. So that just rotates it 90 degrees about the Z-axis. And now I'm just going to pull it out and just position it. I'm going to position it there. Now if you want to move it across or up or down, you can do that. It's entirely up to you where you want to actually position it. Final one, up through the menu system, number 4, object, heart object 04, pen that from the library. Same thing, RX90 to rotate it. View from the front, scale it down in size, do Control A, remember to apply the scale, otherwise you won't have the right dimensions. And again, I want to rotate it about the Z-axis, and I'll just rotate it 90. View it from the top, and I just need to position this over here now. I think I probably need to bring that in a little bit so that it actually overlaps, so I'll just pull that back a little bit, perhaps pull that one back a little bit, perhaps pull that back, and yeah, that's okay. Now you can play around and do whatever you like with these. Might want to move that one up slightly. But as I say, any pattern that's on your system, it could be alphabet patterns, you could spell out your name around here, it doesn't matter. The principles are all the same. Now in terms of joining these together, you've got to be a little bit careful with this. What you've got to do is you've got to convert these all to meshes first. So if I go to Convert to Mesh, that's Tools Object, Convert to Mesh. So I'm selecting all 4 hearts here, convert them to meshes. And I'll select the cage going around, convert to mesh, and finally the original part of the charm. Okay, so I've got all of those. Now if I press A key on the keyboard, I can deselect, and then A will select all the objects. And if I go to Tools, Object Tools, and join them all together now, I will have one single object. So there's my charm. Now it's always a good idea at this stage to actually double check what the diameter is at the top there, depending upon the bracelet that you've got. You might want to change that. There's the ruler up here, so that's just over 5 millimeters. Or a better way to do this is actually to add a cylinder, and if you scale your cylinder up to whatever size you want, and I'm going to assume 4.5 millimeters, 4.5 millimeters, and if we just view from the top, okay, so if you've got a bracelet that's 4.5 millimeters, that will fit neatly inside there. Now we obviously don't want to print that, so I'll just press X on the keyboard and delete that cylinder. So now I need to export this as a wavefront object, that's my preference, and I'll just call it charm, and I'll just export that to the desktop, and then we'll load it into Netfab Basic and just double check that everything is okay. Okay, so that's saved it to the desktop. So if I just go to Netfab Basic and just go to Project and Open, and I want to open the charm. Now there will be some problems with this, there always is with Fluid Designer for 3D printing. Because we've used parametric smart objects here, because we've used NURBS curves to create this charm, we should be okay. So I just click update there, so there's some holes and edges, usual thing. Nothing serious to worry about. We just run automatic repair and just click on update. As long as there's no invalid orientation, we should be fine. So apply the repair, and we may get another problem as we export this again. No, we didn't this time. Occasionally you get some other issues there, but again, you just run through the routine with NetFab and that'll fix it. So there's your file that can be uploaded to Shapeways or sent to your slicer. So that's a charm with, in this instance, 4 heart patterns on the outside, but you can put any pattern that you like on using Fluid Designer. Thank you.